Coming from an evangelical Christian background, like all my life, the concept of truth has been kind of slow coming for me, to be honest, because I'm still actually, I realize that my brain is still working through the cult mindset and the brainwashing that I went through as a former Christian. And it's interesting how things can impact you and you don't really notice it until like something will come up and you're like, oh, that's interesting that like I don't even know how to explain it, but almost like the oh, what is that called? It's on the tip of my tongue, some kind of a syndrome. When someone is like kidnapped and they're with their captor for a long time, cuss and discuss below, so long that they're with this captor that the perpetrator can leave the house and that person won't run away. Like they don't even have to have them chained up anymore. Stockholm syndrome. Thank you. You sent it to me through the internet. But that's that Stockholm syndrome, that they get so befuddled in the brain that they don't even think right, right? And I know that's been something that I've gone through. I spent 48 years as an evangelical Christian, and I thought like one, acted like one, believed like one, behaved like one. I mean, it had seeped into every part of my being. I mean, even to the point like if I'd ever cuss, uh which was rare, believe that or not, I have a potty mouth now, but there was a time like I didn't cuss. Like I would say peanut butter and jelly, you know what I mean? Or I mean, I would say anything and everything rather than cuss. In fact, I did a video on this, but it took me forever to even say the word fart, right? The F word. Like that sounds ridiculous, but I'm just telling you, like that's just how I was raised. I remember even not too long ago where I couldn't even take a sip of wine without feeling some kind of guilt, right? So I want to talk about truth here for a second. Hi, my name is Timmy Gibson. Thank you so much for watching me on my channel here, talking about my upbringing as an evangelical Christian as well as a fundamental pastor. So I know everybody that watches my videos like, what, aren't you going to say your spiel? Yes, I'm a former fundamental evangelical tongue-talking, Bible-thumping, Holy Ghost rolling pastor. I did that for 30 years. And it has impacted my life greatly, and I'm sure still has an influence on my thoughts and my ideas and my perspectives, um, even today. Even when I have a different actual thought. Like if you were to ask me a question, like, but but I feel something different, kind of. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Um, yeah, it's just like it's something that just takes time, to really work through and to yeah, deal with and wash it from from your system. You know what I mean? I mean, it takes it takes some time to renew your mind, right? To renew your thoughts and your perspectives and your beliefs as they relate to how you were raised. um, yeah, it just takes time, and I realize that it's taken me, it's about what, 7 years now past it, and I'm still learning and still understanding um, things and reconstructing as well as deconstructing. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about truth, because I was thinking frankly, if I'm honest, I got a little sidetracked. This is how my mind works. I have a window right here, and I'm talking, and I glanced over, and I just realized that I messed something up when I tried to resize my levelers, whatever those things are called, levelers, you know. And anyway, I just glanced over, and in my mind, I was like, "Oh fuck, I fucked that up. Shit." Like that's going on in my head while I'm sitting here talking. Anyway, so truth. Let's talk about truth. I heard something the other day that really, and for you guys, probably, the long term atheists, or those that are, educated in the world of evolution and such. You know, this is going to be almost, laughable for you, but for me, that, living such a sheltered life as an evangelical Christian, believing all the weird, wild things that I once believed. It truly is like getting out of a cult and having to reacclimate yourself to the world. You know what I mean? Like it really is like that. Matter of fact, I might entitle this in some way like that, because that's just really what it's like. It's you're learning life again and learning a new perspective, on everything. It's been quite fascinating, really. It's been a fascinating journey. So I heard the other day, I don't know if it was in a conversation that I was having with someone, or it might have been something I just heard on a show or something. But someone said something about capital T truth versus little truth. Matter of fact, it might have been Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think I might have been watching something with him. But anyway, and I just never really thought about that. And he gave an example. He said, capital T truth, like 2 + 2 is 4. And, a little t truth, or a personal truth, like, there is a God. And I was like, interesting. That's interesting. That was just an interesting. Again, some of you are like, Timmy, what? You've not been around very long, But for me, that was just kind of like, it was an epiphany for me, because I thought, oh, interesting. So belief in God, because here, capital T truth is stuff that's like true, right? Like, here's a capital T truth: the Earth is a sphere. Okay. And what's funny is, little t truth isn't that the Earth is flat. That's not a personal truth. That's just a complete. That's moronic truth. That's idiotic truth. That's nutball truth. Like that's not even personal truth. In other words, the reason you can call believing in God a personal truth is, to you, it's true. It's not really true, but you believe it to be true. And so, maybe flat earth is similar to that, but I just, and also Christianity, when you come to really think about it, it's absolutely not true, right? Christianity and flat earth, none of it's true. It's just a man-made myth. Okay, I'm getting way ahead of myself. But this really did help me understand. I need to get a little coffee in me. It just helped me understand, and also probably have a little bit more empathy or sympathy or pity towards those who do believe in God. That is their personal truth. It's not capital T truth. It's not actually true, right? It's just, to them, for whatever reason, or for however, it brings them some kind of peace or comfort or joy or hope, to believe that they have a sky daddy, that they have an imaginary friend, and he watches over them and protects them and guides them and directs them and blesses them, and all of those things. And And on one hand, I would say, no harm, no foul. Like, well, fine. Believe that, whenever a good thing happens to you, it's God. And when a bad thing is happening to you, it's the devil, right? I mean, it doesn't make it true. And because clearly, just because you believe it doesn't make it real or true, right? It's just your personal belief. And that's really just, I don't know what to say, except that it's really kind of given me, I don't know, for whatever reason, it just kind of gave me this peace feeling to know that there are capital T truths, things that are actually factually true, and they're verifiable, repeatable, testable, like they're true, right? They don't require faith. They're just truths. And that the Bible is something that you would just choose to personally, I choose to believe this to be valuable and true. And that's okay. It's not a capital T truth. It's just a personal truth, right? And that would be true of every religion, right? Now I know Christians, they think, and I know this because I used to think this, like, no, we the believers in the Bible, like that is capital T truth, right? I mean, I think that's why this has been so interesting for me. This journey is for the longest time, I really did. I associated the word truth with the Bible. And clearly that's just not true. I almost like it's just like completely not true. And I referenced a conversation I had with someone recently, and then they asked me, and I guess it bears repeating again, but they had recently found Jesus, and I said something about like, well, I don't believe in that anymore, and they said, well, what about truth? And I didn't really have this epiphany yet about little T truth, big T truth, or personal truth, you know. So yeah, it's really been fascinating and quite the journey of self-discovery, of even, I just watched this documentary on I think it was HBO Max, The Truth versus, I think, Alex Jones or something, which Alex Jones is a buffoon. Like Alex Jones, like honestly, just to be truthful, or not just to be truthful, but just to be like straight up what I think about Alex Jones, like I don't give a fuck what that motherfucker says. He is a crazy. I wouldn't listen to shit that he says ever. Like, even if he gets one thing right, it doesn't fucking matter. This guy is so completely off his rocker and just completely a nutball. Like, off the charts nutball. I wanted to like him, not because of the shit he says, but one time, a couple of years ago, he was on Joe Rogan, and you kind of felt bad for him because he was struggling with drug abuse or alcohol or something. But man, the lies that dude tells, he's like worse than a used car salesman. They have a bad rap. Like, I mean, just a complete liar, a joke, and has hurt so many people, especially with that whole Sandy Hook thing, the Sandy Hook hoax. Like, he should be ashamed of the shit that went down with that. You know what I mean? Like, that shit's nuts. Absolutely nuts. Maybe I should do another video about this, but maybe I'll go ahead and say a couple things now, just because you guys know I like to ramble a little bit, because and this has to do with the topic, talking about truth, right? Capital T truth, what's actually true. And like, there may be some things that Alex Jones really believed to be true, and You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he maybe some things. Now, some things I think he's a complete liar. He knows he's lying. He's just playing the game. He's doing the thing. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a used car salesman saying, this car is great. It's never been in a, never been in an accident. And it has, right? Like, I think that Alex Jones is guilty of that. Like, he knows 100% he's lying like a motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like, he's deceiving people, just 100% a liar. But there's other things that I think he's so delusional. He's so bought into the dark web and the deep state cabal and the conspiracy theories. Like, he's so bought into it that to him it seems real. A lot of times that people that spread those conspiracy theories, they're spreading them because they think they're real. Just like when I used to preach that the only way to heaven was through Jesus. Like, if you didn't accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior, you were going to hell, right? Which is not true. But I believe that was true. And so I would preach it with conviction. Like, I mean, guys, I did an altar call every Sunday. Not once in a while. No, every Sunday. I did the bow your heads and close your eyes. I know some of you probably have PTSD right now. Bow your heads and close your eyes. And in your heart, search your heart. If you're not right for God, you need to repent of your sins. Just lift up your hand. Yes, I see that hand back over there. Yes, I see your hand. Yes, I see your hand. Okay, let's all pray. You know what? I believed it. I wish I could have had some soft music playing right now. I mean, and I make fun of it now. I was good at it. I'll be honest, I was good at it. And I had a great piano player, man. He played real nice and soft behind me. And I'd pray this real powerful prayer, right? I was good at it. But I believed it. But, that's why I'm not doing it anymore, right? Like, clearly not all preachers are bad, for every 10 good ones, there's rotten ones, obviously. I mean, clearly, just watch Netflix documentaries, just like look around, and that's been going on for a long time. More so we know about it because of the internets at this point, but it's been going on for a long time, even before the internets was much of a thing. It just didn't spread around the world as much. But, there are some definitely good, sincere, honest people out there. And I would have considered myself one of those. That's why I'm this now. That's why I'm doing this now. I couldn't I'm telling you, I could have stuck with it and made a lot of money. I mean, I was good enough at it and was growing the church, but I couldn't be inauthentic, and I couldn't continue to preach something I didn't believe in. And I know, thank you for all those that, give me kudos and say I'm so proud of you for coming out of it. And so, it's a lot of courage to leave and to speak out. And I appreciate that. I really do. I do appreciate that. I didn't really think of it much like that. For me, it was just, well, I figured it wasn't, I saw that it wasn't true anymore. So I couldn't continue to do it. I couldn't lie. I couldn't act like I believed it when I didn't. And so, it just kind of began to unravel because it's hard to be an evangelical pastor and not believe in God or Jesus or the Bible. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't going to work, and I can't live a lie. Not saying I've never lied, right? But I mean, I just couldn't be a con artist. I just couldn't. But man, I could have. If I could have been rich, right? I could have been on TV. Everybody put your hand on my hand, and I'm going to pray the prayer of faith, and you're going to be here. Right? I mean, I could have done all that. And yeah, but there, I had to live honest, right? So, gosh, what the hell was I saying? Capital T truth. Alex Jones. Okay, truth. I am on topic here. So, yeah, I think that, and Alex Jones, he's just a conspiracy guy, right? And I think some of the stuff he knows is a complete sham and a lie, and he's just it's a pony show for him. But then there's other things I think he just completely believes it, you know. But I thought it was interesting because the judge in that documentary said something I thought was fascinating, and she said to what the fuck is his name? Alex Jones. I'm like, went out of my head. She said to Alex Jones, she said, she goes, that's a lie, Mr. Jones. Just because you believe it doesn't make it true. And that struck me, especially knowing I was going to be talking about truth here today. And I thought, isn't that fascinating that just because you believe something to be true doesn't make it true. But we want to believe that what we believe is true. Right? I mean, I know that's true of me, right? I hope and believe that how I'm believing the world to appear and how I believe people to be and how I believe the world is, I hope that I'm believing the truth, right? Does that make sense? Like when someone tells me something, like I'm thinking that's true, I'm hoping that it is true, and then I'm believing the truth about it. Is that making sense? But especially when it comes to the world, right? I want to believe that how I'm seeing the world is that I'm seeing it for truth, for how it really is, right? And what else? There was something else that I saw about that I thought was just fascinating. And I think it was back to that. I would encourage you to watch it, by the way, the HBO documentary on Alex Jones versus the truth. And I think this is accurate. It was like 24% of people, and I think it maybe have been Americans. 24% of Americans weren't certain, either totally believed that Sandy Hook was a hoax, or at least believed they were unsure. They were unsure about it. And I thought, what? Right? It's kind of like that statistic that Neil deGrasse Tyson gave one time about 93% of scientists, are agnostic or atheist or whatever. And he said, that's not interesting. He said, what's interesting is that 7% do believe. You know what I mean? It's like, whoa. So yeah, when I think of 24%, that's a lot, right? And especially if those 24% are wacko YouTubers, podcasters, nutballs. It's like the radicals, they're the ones with the loudest voices, and I give evangelical Christianity a lot of shit, right? Because I used to be one. And I don't take it back. I 100% do give it a lot of crap and will continue to give it a lot of crap because it is a load of crap. I will continue. Don't worry, I will continue. But, so many Christians actually, are fairly normal and they believe in evolution and, you know what I mean? And they don't hate gay people and they don't, they're pretty normal, and they just get lumped in with all of the nut jobs out there. And, and I get it. The problem is the nut bowl evangelical Christians are the ones that you seem to hear from so much lately. You know, it's like every time I turn around, I'm just like, I see some kind of silly ass video on YouTube. Some Christian dude, it's like, what? But, I mean, if you really dig in and you really look at it, it is quite interesting. Um, what Christians believe, even the normal ones, the ones that we all interact with that are just normal. If you start asking them questions, they're like, well, I don't know what I think about the rapture. I mean, I believe Jesus will come back one day, but not anytime soon. It's like, so you're telling me you believe in the rapture? Oh my gosh. Yeah, but they're not giving a date or a time or anything like that, but they're still believing in in the rapture. What? Or they're still believing in hell, but they just don't believe they don't believe as many of they don't, how can I say this? At least they don't believe that nearly everybody's going to hell. They only believe certain people are going to hell. They would never want to send a good, kind, caring Buddhist to hell because that just doesn't make any sense, right? You know what I mean? Like so I would say this: any rational, logical Christian, a Christian with brains and that hasn't been completely brainwashed by the cult of evangelical nuttism. They don't hold so many things as literal, right? They don't literally believe that someone of another faith, when they die, that they're going to go to hell and burn forever and ever and ever. They don't act. I know a lot of Christians that are like, yeah, no, I don't believe that. You know what I mean? But cuss and discuss below. I'm sure some of you, if a Christian has made it this far and you're still watching my video, let us know what you think. The problem is I probably lost them a long time ago in this video, and they won't show up and actually make these comments. They just like to listen to the first few minutes and then say, Timmy never really was a Christian. He didn't have the right interpretation of the Bible. Where did he go to Bible school? Oh, crazy, man. Crazy. Oh, my goodness gracious. All right, capital T, truth. So, back to this whole idea of truth. I would think most of you are, no different than me, right? I want to believe that I'm believing in the truth and believing what is true, right? Such a mind, so different than when I was a Christian and what I thought truth was, which was, the Bible. That's the truth. That's the ultimate T truth, is what I thought, and that's like just provably wrong, that we like for sure not true, Not that there's not some good, some wisdom in there. Not that there's not some truth in the Bible, right? I mean, there are things in the Bible that are true, but there's a lot in there that isn't, and there's also contradiction. There's lies. There's immorality. There's a bunch of BS in there, obviously, right? 'Cause, I mean, humans wrote it. How could it not be full of just a bunch of shenanigans? Clearly, but like. I'm so, I'm anti-conspiracy theory. And what I mean by that is, like, I don't want to believe a conspiracy theory. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to believe, I believe we went to the moon, and I know some of you maybe don't believe we went to the moon. That's fine. Whatever. But did you know, by the way, just for those that don't believe we landed on the moon, did you know that we have telescopes on Earth that can actually view, I think the telescopes may be from in China. Anyway, I heard this recently. I thought, well, that's interesting, right? That there are actual telescopes on Earth that they can actually look up to the moon and to basically verify that we were indeed there. So like we actually really did land on the moon. Like it's not a big conspiracy theory. Um, so there's that. But comment below. I've even had some flat earthers make comments like, "Oh my God, that to me is is." I mean, I don't even know. I don't even know. I don't even know what to say about that. Except that's you people that believe in that the Earth is flat. I just have no respect at all. So I'm sorry if you believe the Earth is flat. I mean, I have my opinion about you, and it's not a good opinion because it's not flat. But and just full transparency here, I do believe we went to the moon, but I don't find moon landing deniers uh, as moronic as I would a flat earther, just because I don't know. There's certain things. I mean, I believe we went to the moon, uh, but there are certain things that you go. Let's put it this way: I would, if there was some proof that we didn't go to the moon, like legitimate proof, not just the shadows, the way they come, the shadows, and if it wasn't, because I've seen every single thing that a moon landing denier says, and then I've seen it debunked, like whatever. So I've always I always believed in the moon landing. I think it happened the year I was born, right? In '69. Yeah, that was the year I was born. I think we went to the moon right after I was born. Anyway, I think that I inspired the moon landing. But like if there was some undeniable proof, absolutely, or even the government came out and said, "Okay, guys, okay, fine, we did fake the moon landing," I would be shocked. I'd be like, "Whoa, okay," but I'd be like, "Well, there you go, the truth finally came out," right? There's other things that you can even keep going, right? Like the JFK stuff or the Epstein files. And I mean, it goes on and on and on. Like what's true? Like what is actually true? Like I know what I'm talking about on this video, people. Truth, what's true? What is true? Did old Mr. Epstein, did he actually commit suicide? Or did someone off him, right? Like, or unalive him, whatever. I mean, like, what is the story there for real? Like, what is actually true? I don't know. I don't have an opinion really about that. But yeah, so I just know for me personally, I want to believe things that are true. So like, I believe that we went to the moon. But if that's not true, then I would want to not believe that, right? Or, when the Epstein, did he unalive himself or was he unalived by someone else? Like I want to know the truth because the truth will set you free, right? Which I really believe. I really believe that the truth does set you free because it's true. It's true. Like that, you know what I mean? Like lies don't help anybody. They might make you feel better for a second, if I say, "Oh, I like your haircut," or you ask me if I like your haircut, and I said, "Yeah," which is a lie, if it was a lie, like no harm, no foul. It's not a big deal. But yeah, truth is important to me personally. I value the truth. I want to know what's true. I want to, because then I can act according to what is actually true. You know what I mean? Anyway. A little side note here that my wife likes to watch Big Brother. And I think the thing that bothers me so much about Big Brother, and if you watched this last season, I loved Keanu. Keanu was the number one guy, and he actually won the $50,000 for being the most liked Big Brother house guest, which didn't surprise me because he seemed, he didn't use deception and lies and deceit. He didn't use all the manipulate all the stuff that other players use. They say, well, part of Big Brother is, it's a game. Lying is a part of the game. Personally, I just don't respect that. That's why I didn't like Rachel. I thought she was just cunning and weird. I didn't like her at all. She was my least. I was so fucking glad when she got kicked out of the house. I was like, good riddance. Um, but again, truth. I think truth matters, and that documentary that I was talking about with Alex Jones, you know, they were showing clips from InfoWars, which is Alex Jones's YouTube or I guess website. I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow Alex Jones, and I'll never follow Alex Jones unless he gets saved and gives his heart to Jesus and returns his life around. Anyway, you know, I have no respect for liars. I have no respect for, I just don't. I absolutely don't. And again, we've all lied. I've lied. Everybody's lied. Okay. It's not about telling a line. It's about being a liar, right? There's a difference. You can cheat and not be a cheater. You can lie and not be a liar. There is a difference, right? We're all human. Everybody has lied. That's a fucking fact. Everybody has lied at some point about something in some way. But hopefully you're not a liar, someone that just constantly lies to deceive and to get ahead and to defame and to all that stuff. Like that's no one should have respect for that at all. Okay, so I'm going to end with this. What I thought was fascinating about this documentary with Alex Jones versus the Truth on HBO, they would show clips from InfoWars of Alex Jones talking about the Sandy Hook thing. And I found it was interesting because it was like, it was compelling. You know what I mean? Like some of the things he was saying, it was quite compelling. And even though I know he's full of bullshit, I know he's a liar, I know it's not true, but he acted so certain of it, right? Like he was revealing a secret, like he had pulled back the curtain and was revealing something that we all didn't know, right? That Sandy Hook, blah, 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 all the lies that he spread about that. Obviously he got in big trouble, and he ended up, saying that he does now know that it was real. But man, conspiracy theories, man, they can wrap you up, dude. They can wrap you up and make you like a fry short of a Happy Meal quick. That's why it is important what you listen to and what you watch and the YouTubers that you follow. That's why I've said it before. That's why I gave up listening to Joe Rogan. And then very rarely will I go over there and see if he's talked to anybody reputable or anybody that I care to hear from. But I had to stop listening to him just because he was so conspiratorial. Next thing you know, I'm starting to believe that Bigfoot exists and UFOs are landing on the earth and people are being probed in weird ways by aliens. You know what I mean? You just start believing a bunch of hokey pokey, nutty stuff. And, I just don't have time for that. I'm not going to fucking believe in lizard people. I'm not going to believe in the adrenochrome that's being sucked from children, like that, all that QAnon bullshit, that stuff's crazy. And I unfortunately have someone in my family or some in my family who are given to conspiracy theories. And, it's like every time I'm around them, they bring up something, and it's wild. I don't even know. It's hard for me to find the words. I want to shake them and be like, wake the fuck up. That's not true. You are literally believing it's not true. What the fuck? fuck? Where are you getting this fucking information from? Who are you watching? Like, what are you watching Alex Jones? Like, come on. Like, it's just insane. All right. So again, I was talking about truth in this video, and truth matters, right? And I want to know what's true. I know you want to know what's true. And if you're a Christian and you have stayed with this till the bitter end, kudos to you. And hopefully you also really do want to know the truth. But can I just tell you, it would be important for you to understand something. The Bible is not capital T truth. I'm sorry. It's just not. It's just not. Okay. I'm not saying there's not some good stuff in the Bible. I'm not saying there's not some true stories in the Bible. I'm not saying, you know what I mean? Like, fine. There's some good stuff in there, right? You have to really sift through it, right? But if you are a believer, okay, and you are a Christian, and you claim to want to know the truth because you believe the truth will set you free, and you think the truth is from the Bible, I know I can't convince you that that's just not true. And I guess I would just say, keep seeking, not digging deeper into the Bible, but just keep seeking understanding and knowledge, and don't be scared of talking to people who don't believe like you, like people like me, right? Like, don't be scared. Don't be scared to have conversations with people that don't believe it and finding out why they don't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I get this from Christians a lot. They'll say, Timmy, you make a lot of sense. I still believe in God and all the stuff, but you do make some good points. And, I appreciate that. I mean, I'm not trying to make good points. I'm just trying to talk, tell my experience, and be as honest and as authentic and as vulnerable as I possibly can with what I'm understanding about my past as an evangelical and where I am now as an atheist. Someone that just, I don't see enough evidence to convince me to believe in God, specifically the Bible God. I just don't see it. And I just laughed because in my mind, I could hear what I would tell someone like me back in the day. You've been blind. Your eyes have been blinded by the devil, Timmy. That's why I'm praying for you, that your eyes would be open to the truth, right? And I would tell you, they are. That's what happened. My eyes were open to the truth of Christianity being a man-made fiction. So that's the truth. But you can't handle the truth. Peace, everybody. Hey, cuss and discuss down below. Like, subscribe, do all the stuff. I do have a Facebook group. And if you've made it to the end, you're invited to my free Facebook group. I think we're almost at 1,000 peoples up in there. It's a good time. It's called Timmy's Deconstruction Community. Join it today. Peace, everybody.